Hey everybody, and welcome to I Do Everyday Automation, where we talk about products and projects to make your home smarter and your life easier. On today's video, I wanted to do an update from a previous video I did about how you could replace your AT&T router with the Unify USG device. There were a couple of questions and comments in the comments section, a few of which I'm going to try to answer during this video. One, more importantly, from the actual person who created the material that content was based on, Taylor Smith. They maintain an actual website that actually has the instructions, as I demonstrated in a previous video. And they mentioned that there was actually an update, a shorter version of the original instructions for the original video. So today we're going to cover that. But I just wanted to mention, the only reason I hesitated on putting this video out is, obviously, I like to do my own content for the most part. But this seemed like something that you guys were requesting. So I actually had the video recorded, and I've just been kind of waiting to see if I really wanted to actually put it out to the masses. But since there was enough demand and a couple of people who actually joined the channel just for that specific purpose, I figured I'd go ahead and release it. So we're going to go ahead and jump into that, and I'm going to try to answer some of the other questions you guys had as we go. Okay, so first I want to give credit to Taylor Smith for putting together this tutorial and this awesome website. When I first started searching to see if this was even possible, it was due to AT&T having issues with port forwarding and DNS settings. There was a bunch of info all over the internet, but not in a central, concise location. I did the first video to take it a step further and give visuals to this guide. On Taylor's site, all of the prerequisites are called out for you. If you've gotten this far, it's likely because you already have the basics, which would include a Unify USG device and an AT&T modem. So for your prerequisites, you have here that you should ensure that you have the IP address for your USG and your Unify controller. You're going to want to make sure you download this repo file. I already have the tab open. So it's the EAP Proxy repo over on GitHub, of course, that we had in the previous video. And then from here we'll go back to the instructions. As it appears to me, the Unify Edge router, which I've used before, is very similar as far as the configuration. So I would assume that the USG Pro and the USG, as well as the Edge router, all have the capability to run this EAP Proxy and to use this method to bypass the AT&T Gateway. Alright, so this is kind of a recap for those of you who were on the previous video, but we'll cover it for anybody who's new. So make sure everything's cabled like it explains here in the diagram. The LAN port on the USG should be plugged into your LAN. The VoIP LAN 2 port should be plugged into the ONT port on your UVerse modem. That's going to be more than likely where the yellow cable comes in. The cable from your ONT should be plugged into the USG WAN port. Once you get all of that done, make sure you get a clean backup. And just to backtrack real quick, so the front of your device may look slightly different, especially if you're using something like the Edge router or the USG Pro, but just follow this as close to what your setup is. So you may have something different for the VoIP port. On the USG Pro, you should be fine with using either the secondary LAN or WAN port. I would say probably use a secondary LAN port just in case you do want some failover or redundancy with the second WAN if you have a secondary WAN provider. Next, you're going to want to make sure you back everything up as I mentioned before. You're going to go ahead and navigate to Settings, Maintenance, Backup, and download that backup. So maintenance, and then you can just do a backup like this. I already have mine here, so I'm not going to do another one, but just make sure you have it somewhere stored where you can get to it easily just in case something goes wrong or haywire during the setup. So next, we're going to go over to Settings, then to Site and Services, and verify Configure VoIP port as WAN 2 on Unified Security Gateway is unchecked. If you don't see that option, you're good to go. And we don't have it here, so we're going to go on to the next step. So now we're going to go ahead and update our WAN port. And I have a couple other things in here that I was testing out, so I'm going to go ahead and change this per the instructions. So make sure you go into settings, network, and edit network next to WAN. And then from there, you're going to go down and use DHCP v6 and set the prefix delegation size to 60. And then you're going to go ahead and hit save. All right. So next we need to configure the IPv6 on the LAN side as well. You're going to go to settings, network, and edit network next to LAN 1. So then we're going to go ahead and go down under configure IPv6 network. We're going to make sure the IPv6 interface type is set to prefix delegation. We need to make sure the IPv6 prefix delegation is set to interface WAN. And then for your DHCP v6 settings, things can differ a little bit here from the instructions if you choose. So on the guide, Taylor's actually using the DHCP v6 DNS settings for Google. I actually prefer Cloudflare. It's just a little bit faster at times. There's a little bit more privacy settings built into that DNS. So I use that one as my primary and I use Google as my secondary. And you can go to Cloudflare's website to get that information if you can't read what's on the screen. But basically it's 2606:4700:4700:1111. And then of course Google's is 2001:4860:4860:8888. Once you get that information in, you can hit save. Alright, so now we're going to go on to the LAN 2 network settings. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete the previous one I had in here. And we're going to go ahead and just create a new one from scratch. You're going to select LAN 2 and the purpose is going to be corporate and the parent interface is going to be LAN 2. All right. So for the gateway / subnet, you can just put 192.168.254.1/24 or whatever you choose. And then you're going to go ahead and make sure that DHCP mode is not enabled on that port. And then you're going to go ahead and hit save. All right, so we're going to need to make a small change to the firewall. You're just going to go over to routing and firewall and click on firewall. And you're going to click on rules IPv6 and create a new rule. And just name it based on the instructions ICMP v6. And for the action to take on it, you're going to hit accept. And you're going to select ICMP v6 for the IPv6 protocol. Then you go down and hit save. And that's it for that part. So now we're going to go ahead and jump over to the EAP Proxy file. So you're going to go ahead and download it. I'll have all of mine saved in this folder already. You're going to go ahead and open the EAP Proxy.sh file and just verify that if WAN is set to ETH0 and if router is set to ETH2. And then under the configuration options, just make sure you add set MAC after ping gateway, just like it's written on Taylor's website. Save and close that out. And then you're going to go ahead and use whichever SFTP program you choose. I prefer FileZilla, so go ahead and get that loaded up, and you're going to type in your information to log in, which consists of your server, your username, password. Alright, so now let's go ahead and jump back to the instructions real brief, just so we don't get too far ahead of ourselves. Alright, so scroll down to where we're currently at, and you're going to want to start with the next set of instructions, which includes moving the EAP Proxy.py file, as well as making sure you move the files from your local device onto your USG. In my case, since it's on the PC, that's why I'm using FileZilla. I can just drag and drop and create that location like that, and then I'm going to reach over here and grab the files I need and just drag and drop them over. And there we go. Now they're copied to the USG. So we're going to go ahead now and open PuTTY, or whichever program you use to SSH into your device. Go ahead and get logged into there. Alright, so now we can do our move command. You can copy and paste it, or you can type it in manually. Either way is fine. And you're going to go ahead and hit enter. And then from here, you're just going to basically follow the instructions on the website. You're going to go to the next line and copy the sudo python. I already have it here in a notepad real quick, just so I don't mess up any of the formatting. I'm going to go ahead and copy and then hit paste. Hit enter. And I'm just going to go ahead and enlarge the screen. My paranoia is kicking in. I just want to make sure I can see the whole thing and make sure it's all on one line. So I'm going to go ahead and just hit the up arrow so it'll show back up, and then hit enter. Let that do its thing. At this point, you should be power cycling your AT&T modem. And we're going to go ahead and jump to Tyler's screen here, just because I don't want my MAC address or any of that information to show up. So we're going to go ahead and jump to the website and go from there. Alright, I figured I'd cheat a little bit. I didn't feel like going through the hassle of having to blur out all of my information. And since it's already up on Taylor's website, already blurred out as to what you should see after those 5 minutes pass, 5 minutes or so, give or take, I figured we just go to the website and follow from there. So you're going to see the same information you see here. So you're going to see your Ethernet port, and you're going to see the MAC address of your device, and you should see the return information. You should see packets being sent and packets being requested, and you should see the return on all of that. So if it looks like this, then you're good to go to the next step. It may not look exactly like that, but give it a couple of minutes and you should be able to ping or reach an external website. If it does work, you can finalize the configuration. If not, you need to go back and retrace your steps. Just like in the previous video, at this point, we're pretty much at the same exact point we were toward the end of the previous video. So from here in your USG, you're going to hit Control+C to terminate the EAP proxy. And then you're going to enter this command right here, which is cd config scripts post config d. And then you're going to type chmod. Well, you can literally copy and paste this, which will probably be the easiest step. Then you're going to type reboot now. Everything's going to power cycle. Give it, 5 to 10 minutes. And then you can check again to make sure you still have the same connectivity you had in the previous step. So if you wanted to get any more additional information, most of this, and this is where I originally started my journey, can be found on DSL reports. He also puts a link to the Unified Forum and information on rolling this back if you have any issues. So we'll just go ahead and jump to DSL reports real quick, just to show you guys that this has been, tracking for quite some time. So this is also a wealth of information. You can see here, someone speaks about PF Sense. You can do a little bit of deep diving in there and possibly find out if someone has actually done this with the USG Pro or any of the other Ubiquiti devices, which I'm sure, like I said, it works the same. There may just be some minor modifications to the name of a port or how you address a port or something like that. I'm pretty sure that'll be the only changes. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's video. I wanted to try to keep it short and just give you guys the relevant information, since this was more of an update of the previous video and most of the instructions were almost identical, except for some of like the IPv6 stuff. And also I'm going to make sure I put Taylor's website down in the links below again, just like I did in the previous video. They maintain that information regularly as they update, so you guys can reference that, and we'll see if we need to continue doing this in the foreseeable future as there are updates to the process, if there are updates to the process. I tried to make this more of a one-off, but you guys seem to be interested in it, so I made sure to go ahead and just do a continuation video. If you guys like what you saw, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more content like this. Make sure you leave comments down in the comment section below so I can know what you guys thought of the video and what you guys would like to see in the foreseeable future. Other than that, I'll see you guys on the next one. Later.